Hello everyone, and welcome back to another RuneScape video. RuneScape Classic is a very unique and different part of RuneScape's history, where times were a lot different. As a result, it has quite a few interesting facts that I'd love to share with all of you. I've made a video about RuneScape Classic facts before, so you should definitely watch that one too. The link for that video should be in the description. Anyway, let's get right into this video and learn 15 more interesting facts about RuneScape Classic. Number 15. Weapon speeds. In Classic, weapon speeds were all the same. This meant that battle axes and two-handed swords were the best weapons to have, simply because their stats were better. Since attack speeds were all the same, it made these weapons far more expensive and superior to any weapons of the same type. Number 14. No running. This is a pretty common fact, but still pretty interesting. There was no way to run in Classic, so everybody moved at the same speed that we now know as walking. Since lodestones didn't exist either, this meant you'd be doing a lot of walking unless you had unlocked one of the few ways to teleport. Number 13. Dragon Slayer was difficult. Reports from many RuneScape Classic players say Dragon Slayer was an extremely hard quest to complete simply because of how hard Elvarg's hits were. These days you see lots of videos of low-level players such as level 10s beating Elvarg and being seen as impressive. In the Classic days, beating Elvarg at level 40 was a huge accomplishment. Number 12. No combat triangle. RuneScape now has a combat triangle, so that no matter what style of fighting you use, melee, magic, or range, you have a weakness and a strength against another fighting type. Back before this triangle existed, the game always favored melee. Back then, armor didn't have negative effects on the wearer if they were using range or magic. This meant many players back then would fight using magic while wearing rune armor. Number 11. Rune crafting didn't exist. Magic was a very expensive skill simply because you couldn't make your own runes. As a result, the only ways of obtaining them were through monster drops or through shops. The shops were also frequently sold out simply because of how many players would buy runes from them. Number 10. Fizzling spells. This is a feature very unique to RuneScape Classic and one I hadn't heard of until now. There was a small chance that when trying to cast a spell, it would fizzle and wouldn't cast. When your spell fizzled, you got to keep your runes, but you couldn't use any more magic for 20 seconds. Number 9. No eating in combat. In Classic, you were not able to eat while in a fight. As I covered in the last video, you had to fight 3 rounds of combat before running away. When fighting a monster, you would have to wait 3 rounds, run away from the fight, and eat, then return back to it. This is a strategy I saw many players use while fighting Elvarg in videos. Number 8. Every item was tradable. Since every item in the game was tradable, this allowed many players to just blow through quests. They could skip entire parts if they had a friend give them the quest items after they were done, or simply bought it from another player. This is one of the many reasons quest items are not tradable today. Number 7. General stores. General stores used to be extremely popular social places for players to go. In high popularity worlds, many players would treat the general store as a place to buy and sell items with other players. It's almost like an old, outdated Grand Exchange in some ways. Number 6. Black Knights. In RuneScape Classic, you can imagine not a lot of content was available at the start compared to now. At its original launch, the strongest NPCs were level 46 Black Knights. Now that RuneScape has monsters that have levels going into the thousands, they're not nearly as much of a challenge as they used to be. Number 5. Steel Platebody. Originally when the steel Platebody was added in, it required 96 smithing to make. Luckily this was only temporary, as not all armor had been added into the game yet. I imagine this made this piece of armor quite expensive for a little bit. Number 4. No withdrawing exact amounts. When you went to manage your bank or trade people, it was very difficult to get a very exact number of items. This was because you had no way of withdrawing more than 1, 5, or 10 at a time. This made trading items and GP to other players a much longer process than it is today. Strangely, Jagex updated Classic in 2009's re-release to add a Withdraw X option. Number 3. The Yellow X. Everyone who has ever played RuneScape has seen the yellow X that appears whenever you click on something. This X has remained the exact same up until recent years that added a tiny bit of red into it. Up until then, it was the one part of RuneScape's interface that had never been changed. Number 2. Home server. When RuneScape was originally launched, it ran on a small server in the home of the Gower brothers' parents' home. It's amazing how such a small project can grow into a game that has now over 200 million accounts registered. I guess it really goes to show how good ideas can go a long way. Number 1. Banknotes didn't exist. Back in RuneScape Classic, you were unable to withdraw items from your bank as notes. You may imagine this made selling items extremely difficult, and you were right. Luckily, you could turn items into certificates, or certs as they are commonly known, but this process could still take forever as you had to run back and forth from the bank to the certers to get them exchanged. Only certain items could be exchanged as well, typically ores, fish, metal bars, logs, and various other items such as potions. Luckily, this system was replaced with a banknote system in RuneScape 2. That's all I have for this video, but thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more RuneScape Classic facts, go ahead and give this video a like to let me know. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to subscribe to my gaming channel and follow me on Twitter. Lastly, for more RuneScape content, then make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next time.